Hello, welcome everyone to today's show for the Solana Developer Platform. My name is Katherine Goo, and I'm the head of product for digital assets at the Solana Foundation. Today with me, I have Brian from Triton One. Brian, welcome to the show. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and Triton One. I know you have a very long history with Solana, so do share us a little bit of that with the audience.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to chat with you. And my history on Solana does kind of go back to the beginning of Solana. I was fortunate enough to have a friend of a friend who introduced me to the team while they were still in development. And so that gave me the opportunity to help as a validator when we were doing dry runs on the blockchain. Also help bring up testnet, and then I helped bring up mainnet, which could coincidentally, the mainnet birthday is coming up very, very soon from the time that we're recording this.
All right. Which day is it?
It'll be March 16th and the 6th birthday. So it's
awesome.
It's amazing how fast they grow.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, we're very excited, obviously, to have Triton as part of the first cohort of design partners as we're launching this Solana Developer Platform, which, as you know, is very geared for enterprise institutional use cases.
Yeah.
So I think what would be helpful is if you can shed some light in terms of on the Triton offering specifically, what is unique about the product, and also, in the context of institutional needs and requirements.
Yeah. So for Triton, which we founded just over 5 years ago, our focus has always been on DeFi and trading. And a part of SDP is thinking about trading modules as they come down the road. But we've also thought about enterprises and compliance. And so one example there is an open source software tool that we have called Shield. And it's an on-chain program that allows enterprises to maintain a block list that could be used to skip certain leaders when delivering a transaction. So, for example, if an institution knows that for compliance reasons, they can't deal with certain validators, that Shield gives them the ability to make sure their transactions are not delivered directly to those validators. Each institution can have their own list. So the Shield program is both open source and permissionless. So anybody can maintain their own list. And so that's just, I think, one example of the many things that we do at Triton to just show how we think about enterprises, how we think about compliance. And then, of course, we've always been focused on performance.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if I were to translate that, a very concrete use cases, it's been a popular sort of concern among institutions is, if I conduct my business on a public chain, and if somehow a North Korean validator is processing and getting paid or getting rewarded in some way through that transaction, then obviously I'm in trouble as an institution because they're on the sanction list. So with what Shield is offering, basically my understanding is you can completely obfuscate that, and you can just really ensure that your transaction is quote unquote clean.
Correct. Yeah. So the enterprise would be able to say, we want to deliver this transaction to the blockchain. However, not if that particular validator is a leader at that point in time. And so what'll happen is it will just simply wait 1.6 seconds and then deliver to the next leader. And the same logic can be used also as an allow list. So, for example, an enterprise might choose to say, I'm only going to work with these 100 or 200 validators that they've vetted. And so it could be either an allow list or a block list, depending on what the enterprise wants to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that would be a very interesting tool for institution to do. And it's in a way, it's like know your validators, basically, and you can control the privacy and permissioning through that method. So super cool. I guess just zoom out a little bit. What gets you excited about the Solana Developer Platform in general as you're thinking about this, approach and the launch itself?
Yeah, I am excited. The reason for that is that the Solana protocol is complex, and the way that you build on Solana, and even the way that you consume or read data from Solana, is much different than the other chains, and it's difficult. So, and that difficulty could become a barrier to entry, right? Or a barrier for customers to onboard onto
Mm-hmm.
Solana or the enterprises. So instead of forcing the enterprise to come to Solana, you are bringing Solana to the enterprise through APIs that they're already comfortable with, that for them, the integration is easy, that would be very, very familiar territory. And whether it is, on the payment side in particular, and then on the trading side, is to be able to have those special APIs that just make it so much easier for any enterprise to get up to speed on Solana. That's a huge unlock, both for the enterprises and for the blockchain.
Yeah, I like your way of framing it, and I can definitely verify that as well. Coming from like the visa background, it's very hands-on experience in terms of understanding. It could be quite a challenge for institutions as they're thinking about how to actually onboard onto node infrastructure is that first point of entry. If you don't have the right expertise, it can just delay everything else. And very right on exactly what we're trying to solve for through the SDP. Um, I guess my next question is, since there's many different RPC providers out there available, for an institution to make the best judgment of who to use, what are some of the key metrics or, I guess, qualifications, if you will, that they need to really do their due diligence before choosing what's the RPC provider that they're going to be using?
I mean, just generically speaking, it'll be measuring performance, and especially with latency for account updates. At Triton, we've always been focused on DeFi
Mm-hmm.
and providing the lowest possible latency for the data feeds that we provide to our customers. For traders in particular, that really matters. And we're down to measuring latency differences in less than 1 millisecond sometimes,
Mm,
and which gets much closer to TradFi, where people that have been working with centralized exchanges, they start to think of latencies and measuring latencies at a resolution below 1 millisecond. So,
I see.
that's one thing to look at for Triton. We've always been proud of our performance in that regard, and then proud of our focus on DeFi. Um, Other things like experience matter a ton. Um,
Yeah.
it is hard for a new team to come on board to Solana and be good at it. It
Mm-hmm.
really does take time and experience. Much different than other blockchains, which don't run at the same speed.
Got it. Got it. I guess related to that, and also maybe my last question, what do you think is some of the most underrated things about the difficulties that when it comes to handling about blockchain latency performance, like when it comes to the node infrastructure side, that you guys just need to deal with in the background, but hopefully, as a user, you don't need to worry about? What do you think are some of the
Ye-
features or, yeah.
Yeah, there's a feature of Solana that I think is completely underappreciated and underrecognized. And that has to do with the nature of having a real time stream of data.
Mm,
And comparing to other blockchains, I'll just use Ethereum as an example because so many people are familiar with that. And but what will happen is during the middle of a slot or during the time that the blockchain is building a block, there's no data being transmitted out
mm-hmm,
to anybody who's trying to read the chain data. So what you end up with is, say, 12 seconds of silence and then a burst of transactions. That 12 seconds of stutter is really bad, especially again going back to TradFi and trading, where they're
right.
used to a real time data stream, right? You want to see every transaction as it's happening and not having to wait, not even 400
Mm-hmm,
milliseconds. Solana's slot time is 400 milliseconds, but it has a feature where you can stream data. It's called at a process commitment level,
mm-hmm,
where anybody can read the blockchain data as it's happening in real time. And so, as the leader is processing transactions, it's broadcasting those transactions out. And then fast traders can capture that information mid-slot to then be able
I
to
see.
act on it. And so Solana can provide a trading experience that is much, much, much closer to what anybody in TradFi would expect from a centralized exchange. And
Got
other
it.
blockchains can't do that. Um, Ethereum in particular, for the example that I used. So yeah, that's the one thing that I think that's most underappreciated.
Yeah,
Um, and then at Triton, we actually wrote the software that most people in the industry are using to stream that data out. So we're very
I see.
proud proponents of open source software.
Yeah.
And so we're the ones who actually wrote and maintained the popular Yellowstone gRPC plugin.
Yes, that's actually one of the first thing I learned coming to Solana, this Yellowstone gRPC, which is fascinating. And I think you're very right. And if I translate that into maybe some application is like, why do I need real-time reading or like data streaming? Is like, for example, if you want to update your NAV, right? And if you want to have a sense about
Hmm.
exactly what the market price is at any
Yeah, yeah.
given moment in time, I think that's going to be critical.
Hmm.
And I think that applies to definitely like STP for all the institutions as they're trying to launch and issue new assets. And
Hmm.
especially, I think, in the sort of medium to longer term, as you know, for the Solana Developer Platform, we want to include the trading module as well. I think there's a
Hmm.
lot more nuances to it. And I think what you just mentioned is actually a really critical component to get it right.
Yeah, yeah. So for any institution or enterprise that's considering which blockchain to focus on, Solana is the chain that will get them closest to their current experience with centralized exchanges and traditional trading. Yeah.
I see. Fascinating. Great. Well, Brian, this has been fantastic having you on, and thank you so much for sharing these really interesting nuances. So I really appreciate you coming and excited to get this thing launched.
Yep. Yeah. It's a pleasure speaking with you as always. I'm super excited for SDP. Let's go.
Thank you.